And Dan is recognizing the elephant outside the room and perhaps the donkey outside of the room tonight. Okay, and we're going to modify this to encompass all four of you. What Dan has written is you were endorsed by the Republican, we'll say, or Democratic Party. If elected, how will you govern differently from the Republicans/Democrats in Washington?
In Washington?
That's the question.
First of all, I would hope to never find myself in Washington unless I were to visit a museum or our capital. But you know, I think it's honestly, and you know, you hate to bring national politics down to the local level because you know, one of the things that makes Bedford great is that we are strong and often show ourselves as such. It's rather shameful what's going on there. You know, the government was created by our founding fathers. They put in place a terrific structure for us to manage this country. And unfortunately, what's happened is, you know, sometimes that power goes to people's heads and it doesn't actually end up the way it should be. The way that I would govern is I would certainly make sure that there were term limits in place. You know, I turn on the TV and I see whether it was a Republican or a Democrat congressman who's been there for 30 or 40 years. Yeah, this person will not be displaced from their position. There won't be a change of view. And I can't believe that they would truly represent the changing interests of the community. And that there would be no challenge to them for people who may have a different voice or a different view. And so, you know, term limits, I think, are something that are much needed. And I'd also move away from the whole idea of how we finance our elections and our campaigns. I think that is wrong as well. I think, you know, people should be there to serve the people's needs. Our founding fathers created a structure that was to be governed by, you know, citizens, not by professional politicians. And I continue to believe, whether it's in Washington or here in Bedford, that those kinds of principles should be followed.
I think if you look at the way that they're governing right now at the federal level, you're finding too many people that are not willing to compromise. They're going to hold their guns and stick to their point of view because they feel that that's right. But what's not right is it's really hurting the people. It's hurting the residents and the citizens who they're supposed to be representing. So I think if I look at the town board and how they were governing, I would ask first what my role is there on the board. Not so much what my own personal interest may be or my personal opinion, but looking at globally what's right for the residents who I'm serving. And if there was a disagreement as to how to proceed on something, I would look for the discussion, I would look to continue to work at the issues, and ultimately a decision would have to be made. It would not be something that could be put off or necessarily dropped just because we didn't like the position each other had, because it wouldn't be serving our constituents. So if I look at it as a question of compromise, knowledge, and just a willingness to work together. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I don't believe that the Democrats and Republicans in Bedford are as far apart on most or any issues as the leadership in Washington. So I would follow the example of politicians of the past who really engaged in collegial and friendly relationships across the aisle. You know, even to say across the aisle, it didn't matter that much in those days. There were friendships of you know, any different combination of Democrat and Republican, and I think that kind of collegiality, you know, where you can have a conversation, you can disagree without being disagreeable, as that saying goes. But when you begin to dig in your heels on anything, where you start the negotiation or even conversation with believing that you're right without having heard input from the other, trying to see things from the other person's position. I don't have any question that the Democrats and Republicans here are far more mature and than those in Washington.
First of
all, I would never go to Washington, so I'm going to totally flip this question around and bring it back to Bedford. You know, as we're out there talking to people and you know, campaigning, we're really hearing the same things from residents, and they all want very similar things. They want low taxes, they want clean water, they want a strong sense of community, they want great services, and you know, that is what the role of the board is, no matter what party we're affiliated with. And you know, it's not enough to just you know, want this job. There are certain skills that make you really good at it, and I think that, you know, has to do with experience in the community, with the relationships that you've built, and your ability to engage and listen and communicate. And I think if we saw a little bit more of that in Washington, we would be a lot happier. You know, Lee Roberts really has all of those incredible skills, and I think that's what makes her such an outstanding leader, and she's been an incredible role model and mentor for me over the years, and I think I have those skills as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move to closing statements.